All right, hello everybody. This is Nick Wagner. I am with Allison Henkin. We are going to do the Continuous Improvement Plan 2025-26 webinar.
Hey folks, I'm Allison Henkin, the K-12 Accountability and Projects Program Manager for the Idaho State Board of Education, and we welcome all of you who are joining us now or who are watching our recording later. I'm going to go ahead and share screen for now, and then Nick will take over for his part of the webinar. Can you confirm that you can see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Great. Okay. So we are going to start today with some updates from the State Board of Education that are related to strategic planning and the continuous improvement plans. And then Nick will take over and really walk you through the continuous improvement plan templates and how you can integrate your CIP work into longer term strategic planning.
Correct.
So in terms of changes that are happening, we really have kind of three big things we're going to hit on. One is changes that have happened within the Consolidated State Plan. And second, changes to the use of high school ISAT scores. And then also, we just want to give you a heads up about some new math resources that are coming your way. So in terms of the changes to goal setting, in the Consolidated State Plan, we did get those amendments approved by the U.S. Department of Education, and that approval came through recently, even though those were sent out in 2024. And these goals that are in the new plan have been already put into use for the most recent round of school accountability. So that is something to be aware of. And those changes include long-term goals and interim targets for ISAT, both ELA and math, for graduation rates for the 4-year and 5-year cohort graduation rate, and for the progress toward proficiency for English learners. We also are going to hit on changes to the growth model that were made in the Consolidated State Plan, and then we'll dig into some changes around use of ISAT data. And then the coming soon is an Idaho Comprehensive Mathematics Plan. This is our very first one. It's going to be really similar to the Idaho Comprehensive Literacy Plan. So for those of you that have used that document in the past, it should look pretty familiar. Strongly encourage you to review it after it comes out. There are specific tasks for districts, schools, and classrooms. So we really do want you to engage with this plan. It's really the path forward for working as a state all together, pushing in the same direction to try to improve mathematics outcomes in K through 12. In addition to that comprehensive mathematics plan that will be released in August, just in a couple weeks at the State Board of Education meeting, we also are in the process of developing a mathematics instructional guide, which is really designed to outline what the state expects really high quality mathematics instruction and interventions to look like in the school and classroom setting. And that document will be coming out in either October or December of this year. So in terms of the Consolidated State Plan goals, I am not going to take you through the goals for every group or even for every one of those metrics that I mentioned. Instead, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the approach and a quick example of how that approach has been applied. So across almost all of the metrics that we created long-term goals for, we created what's called a base plus gap closure concept. And so what that ends up meaning is the all students group is expected to improve their proficiency rates by a certain number of percentage points by the 2030 long-term goal. And then if a specific subgroup had performance at the baseline year, which as you can see in the example was 2023, if their baseline performance was lower than the all students group, then they are expected to make that same increase plus close their gap between them and the all students group by 10%. So in this particular example that you've been given is ISAT math, and you will see that the all students group is expected to improve performance in terms of proficiency rates by 7 percentage points between the 2023 baseline and the 2030 goal, from 40.6 to 47.6. the economically disadvantaged group, is expected to have a little bit more gain in that time so that their gap begins to close. So they're expected to go from 26.7 to 35.1, which is more than a 7 percentage point gain over time. And that really is designed to help us to target attention and resources to the subgroups that most need support. We really worked hard in this process across all of these metrics to look at the goals, look at the previous years of data that we have for the different assessments that we're using, and to create goals that are both really a goal that's notable and worthy and a genuine improvement in performance, but at the same time is an achievable goal. And that balance was very important to us because we feel like in the past, the goals have been set in a manner that's so lofty as to make them not attainable. And as a result, there are many districts and schools that have really set them aside because they didn't feel usable. And so we really hope that we have found this balance, but we can also assure you that we will be keeping an eye on these goals. And if it feels like we either didn't set the goals aggressive enough or we made them too difficult, we'll reassess that in a few years and take a look and see if we need to make additional adjustments. The next thing I want to walk you through is the ISAT growth model. So we looked at our targets for individual students. The metric that's being used for school accountability as a part of our school accountability system is going to stay the same because what it looks at is the percentage of students who hit their individual target. It's the how we create those targets that's changing. In the past, those targets were set up to essentially say that a student needed to achieve proficiency in 3 years. Now, it's an annual target that expects a student to move up a third of a performance category from where they are if they are not yet proficient. And that's the expectation. It also is differentiated between expectations for students who have not yet scored proficient and those who have scored proficient, a level 3, and those who have scored advanced, a level 4. As you'll see here, those not proficient, as I mentioned, are expected to go up by a third of a performance category, or what we're calling a subcategory. And those who are proficient are expected to stay in their subcategory or go up. Those who are advanced are just expected to stay somewhere in the advanced category, so somewhere above that advanced cut line. So this is really designed to recognize the growth of students who have not yet reached proficiency, but who have made really meaningful growth towards it, while at the same time setting expectations for proficient and advanced students that ensures that they don't slide backwards. So again, we worked really hard to try and balance the approach to these goals, and we'll look forward to hearing your feedback in terms of how they actually work out in the world and in the classroom, but we hope that they are more meaningful and helpful to students and teachers. Next, I want to hit on the use of our high school ISAT data. Over the past 18 months, we've really done some work around looking at how we could use our high school scores. And as a part of that, we were really reevaluating our direct admissions program, which is called Idaho Campus Choice, and also took a good look at our post-secondary placement. So we did end up integrating the high school ISAT scores into both of those systems. And the Idaho Campus Choice change has already been implemented once. The class of 2025, who received their letters last fall, in fall of 2024, received those letters based on the new framework. The second group, the class of 2026, will receive those letters this year in the fall. And so that will be our second group going through, and they will also, that class of 2026 will see the integration of the post-secondary placement as well. So those students who took the test in this last spring as 11th graders, those students will also have the opportunity to use their test for the purpose of post-secondary placement. to give just a little bit of information around what that looks like, our goal here was really to create benefits for students who do well on the ISAT without penalizing those who maybe have a bad testing day. And as a part of doing that, we really made sure that our ISAT scores are just one of the metrics in each of these frameworks. They are not the only. So as you can see from the first table here, which is Idaho Campus Choice or direct admissions, students who score a 3 or a 4 on both the ISAT Math and the ISAT ELA will receive direct admissions to all Idaho public institutions. That's all 8 of our community colleges and universities. And those who have an unweighted GPA of 3.0 or higher will also receive that same offer. So a student can get that pre-admissions offer of Idaho Campus Choice by either their ISAT score or having a 3.0 or higher. The vast majority of students who receive that are going to do so based on their GPA. However, we did see this past year when we did it with our first group, that about 750 students received the offer based on their ISAT score. So these are students who have clearly demonstrated capability through their ISAT performance, but do not have a 3.0 GPA. So we were really excited to see that we are expanding that offer to an additional group of students. The post-secondary placement framework actually includes both students who score a 3 or a 4, but also the 1s and 2s. What I wanted to highlight here are the students who score a 3 or a 4. And the reason for that is that we recognize that because most of our students are going to be coming in to the admissions process with a 3.0 or higher and going to be qualifying for all of our institutions based on that, students who are high performers, still we want them to have a benefit from their ISAT score. And from our perspective, that's where the post-secondary placement comes into play, because if they get a 3 or a 4 on the ISAT, they will be able to qualify for post-secondary placement without having to take an additional test. So as you can see, a 3 or a 4 goes straight into English 101 without any co-requisites and goes into our more general and upper level math, depending on whether or not they get a 3 or a 4. And additionally, if a student doesn't do particularly well on the ISAT, but does well on the SAT or ACT, they can qualify for placement using one of those other scores. And we will give them the highest of their scores. So the one that places them most highly is the one we will use unless they specifically request to be placed into a different course. So that is the admissions and post-secondary placement. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to answer any questions about the Consolidated State Plan changes, the upcoming mathematics resources, or these changes to direct admissions and post-secondary placement. All right, thanks folks, have a great day.
Awesome, thank you, Allison. I'm gonna start sharing mine now and start with the template. Well, I'm going to go over what is going to be sent to me directly for the continuous improvement plans. Yeah, Allison, don't feel like you have to stay for this. Appreciate it though. Okay, all right. So October 1 is the due date. I'm just going to go through these bullet points here, and each one is going to just kind of be the basics of our what I am expecting for the CIPs. Okay, so bullet point 1 in here, all CIPs are due October 1, 2025. That is non-negotiable. That is in statute, so we do need something by October 1. Allison was talking a lot about ISAT and IRA data. ISAT data is actually for 24-25 is not available right now, and sometimes it takes a little bit for us to get it, maybe late August and even in September. We've had it to where it's even gone past October. I hope that's not the case. But if that is the case and you are looking for ISAT data to set some targets, you can always put like pending and then turn in a draft and then turn something in after. But we do need at least something by October 1. The next thing is please submit the templates, which I'll go over in a sec. There's only 2. the narrative and the metrics. Please submit those to me. You can submit them in the Word document form or the Excel document form or PDF, however you want to do it, to plans@edu.idaho.gov. If you send it to me directly, that is okay, but I am going to just forward it to Plans, which I have access to, and then I'm just going to email back to you through Plans, so I have everything kind of just in one location. This third bullet here, make sure that on your district's website, when your CIP is done and approved, please make sure it is posted somewhere on your website. That is also a requirement. Additionally, here, this fourth bullet, charter schools may submit their performance certificate, including performance framework, in lieu of the CIP. Basically, that means that if you're a charter school leader or principal or who does their performance certificate, you do not have to do a CIP. You can turn in your performance certificate with that performance framework included, and you do not have to do a CIP. I will review it and make sure the certificate's up to date and has everything it needs, including the framework, and send you like a checklist review right here. And then the fifth bullet here, I will go over at the end on where to find all the templates and trainings. When I'm done with this recording, I am going to upload onto our website, and I'll show you where we do it, this webinar in case you need to watch it again, as well as this PowerPoint. And then here also, there has been no changes from last year as far as what is required of the CIP. It's just year to year. It's an annual thing that needs to be submitted every year, and there's no new thing that has to be done or something that's taken away. It's the same templates, just changed of years. So then, and also additionally, the last thing before we jump in, and we'll jump into the narrative section, is that if you have a CIP narrative from last year that has been approved and your CIP was compliant with the law, that I sent you an email saying this is compliant, and the narrative was compliant, and nothing has changed in your narrative from last year to this year, or you had an exemption previous year and nothing has changed, you can just send me an email to this plans@edu.idaho.gov, request an exemption, and as long as nothing has changed in your narrative, mission, vision statement, and community involvement, and nothing's changed in it, then you just send me that email and I'll exempt you. If there was, however, you did not comply, then unfortunately I cannot provide that exemption, and then you have to do this part over, even if that portion was compliant, but the other portion of the CIP wasn't. So just keep that in mind. You can ask for an exemption if everything is still the same from last year. And here is the narrative. Okay, so the first template is CIP narrative. Please fill out this top section here. It helps me because there are a lot of superintendents that do go on to different schools, a lot retire. So a lot of times from year to year, I'll just have my list of correspondence for each district and if it's different, I'll send it to maybe possibly the wrong superintendent. And when you guys fill out the superintendent and CIP contacts, I save them both and then I email both. So that way I hope I'm just getting it to the right district so that they're aware of this and superintendent. So please fill that out. Try not to leave it blank. All right, so the CIP narrative is a Word document that has 3 pages of just basically what I'm going over now of what's required, why it's required, the statute. It's what I'm looking for when I turn it in. I'm not looking at it. That's just instructions. I'm looking at the 4th page, which is this. I have just copied and pasted this part right here onto the PowerPoint of what is expected of you. I'm going to go scroll right down to here, and I'm going to see, do you have a mission and vision, and do you have community involvement? Section 1, mission and vision. Section 2, community involvement. In the first section here, if there is just one paragraph that says blah, 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 I'm going to assume it's a mission or a vision. I don't know what it is. So what I would really like is to have a mission and then like a dash and then maybe a sentence or whatever the mission is, and then another spaced vision, and then whatever that vision is. I'm not judging what it is. I just need to make sure I can see both the vision and mission and vision separately. If I only see one in there, I'm not going to give you credit. I'm going to ask you to redo it or just you only send me a vision, or you only sent me a mission. I need both. Community involvement. This is basically how you involve your community into your district's uh, uh, planning and development. So basically what I'm looking for here is who's involved, when they get involved, how they get involved. So who in your community is involved in the planning? Is it parents? Is it teachers? Is it students? When do they get a chance to be part of the planning? And how do you give them a chance to get involved? Is it a survey? Is it a meeting? Where is it at? So if you can have those components in there and I can see who is directly involved and how they're involved and when they're involved, then that is perfect. Okay, and that's the narrative, and that's it. And that first template is done, and that's in a Word document. And okay, before we get into metrics, I'm going to kind of just go over some tips here. So the metrics, and I'm going to jump back and forth between the Excel document and this PowerPoint. The Excel document has 3 tabs to it, and the first one is instruction and examples. So you can always use that as a reference if you're ever wondering what you should put. If you have any questions on it, and please do not fill out the instruction examples tab with your information. Just use that as a reference. Go straight to the second tab and just use that that template tab as where you're putting your LEA's information. Otherwise, I'm not going to check the instructions and examples because that's not something I would check to make sure that your CIP is compatible. And all right, so additionally in this template, there is right above section 1, it's just going to ask you to please put the link, the direct link to the idahoreportcard.org with your district's link. So not to your district website or your charter website, but the idahoreportcard.org. Go there, find your district, and then just copy and paste that link into the template and into that part right above section 1. And if there's off by any reason or it goes to a different place, I'm going to have to just say that it is not in compliance, and you're going to have to just send this, redo it, it happens a lot. Maybe somebody just forgot to copy it right. I don't know, but that does seem to happen a lot. And if you do not want to use our formats, or you don't want the templates, that's fine. But and you want to use your own template, you want to use your own design format, you can do that, but it needs to include all of the requirements. Every section that is highlighted will say required, and that needs to be in your formatted CIP. So please make sure that if you do that, it is easily found for each section, and then I can look at your CIP and grade accordingly. Okay, so these are the first 2 sections of the metrics Excel template. That tab 2, this is where we're going to start. And these are generally relatively easy because if you see, we're only looking at in these far columns here where you're going to put your answers, is you are going to see that it's only targets. Should not have clicked on that. It's only targets we're looking for. Okay, so we don't need any raw data. We don't need any data to be found anywhere. We just need the targets. And this first column here, 24-25, will be relatively easy because every year you have to do your CIP, and I can always send you the previous years if you request it. But last year's CIP targets for 24-25 is going to be in this far column, which you can just copy and paste over to this left column, and that's what you're going to want to do. You don't want to change those numbers. You just want to keep your targets what you had them. And then in this far column, this is where you will start to put your targets for the 25-26 year. The other thing here is the highlighted 4-year core graduate. That's required because it's highlighted. The 5-year, it's an optional metric. It says it right here, optional. You can put it if you want. It's just something to keep track if you would like to keep track of it. And then you'll also see that the 24 cohort, 23 cohort, these are to help you track those graduate targets. Another thing here is measuring adequate growth for ISAT. You'll see them every other one, kind of in this first section. And section 2 here, you'll see adequate down here. Basically, I will show you at the end. I'll follow up at the end on how to find what's in our OSB's website, but also on SDE's website, State Department of Education's website, on where to find these measures. Now, right now, there are only ISAT measures that go up to 23, 24. Right now, we're still waiting on 24, 25, like I said before, but I will send an email out when those are available for you to help find that target for 25, 26 when that comes available, if you'd like to use it to find those targets. Okay, and then let's see. I think that's okay. Feel free to email me if you have any questions on sections 1 and 2. If anything is not filled out, I will send it back. I'll say it's not in compliance, and I'll just send and I usually send a note as to why. If there is a specific reason why it's not in there, maybe you don't have 8th grade or 6th grade or 4th or 1st or whatnot, you would just put not available, and then there's a note section in section 6 where you can just put that note. But an NA would be great. Okay. Section 3 and section 4. So section 3 and section 4 are kind of structured similarly. You'll see there is an extra column, all right? So there's 24, 25 targets, 25, 26, but in the middle there's 24, 25 results. Now these performance measures are in section 3 are for their literacy goals, and they're actually made by the district. So you guys come up with the performance metrics goals and targets that you want. And it's best to keep them continuous from the previous year so that you can follow your targets throughout the years. However, you do not need to. It's not a requirement. We just require that you have at least one performance metric. It's generally pretty good to have 2, just in case one is not in compliance and the other one is. If at least one is, then I will approve the CIP, because one may make sense, and even if the one did not, maybe something was off with it. I still will put a note that it didn't, but it will not be outside of compliance. So you'll also see that if you do, you'll see this if available for 24, 25 results. So sometimes if you do change up your performance metrics, you don't want to follow that performance metric anymore. You just won't put it. You put a new one, and it'll say, I don't have the target for last year for this because we didn't do it. So I don't have results. This is something we're going to move forward with. So if that's the case, once again, I did mention there's section 6 with a note section that allows you to put those notes in there. You can also put it in this narrative section. Now, narrative, the next part is the narrative part of section 3 and section 4. You have the option to use this table and use these results and use this to put the measure literacy progress that you want, that your LA wants. Or if you'd like to write it out, you can put that in the narrative section. You only have to do one. Sometimes people do both. Some people only do the narrative. The majority just use this nice table up here to get that objective complete. But if you are going to use the narrative, that's totally okay. What you need to do is make sure that you do talk about the 24, 25 performance targets in the narrative, a result, and a 25, 26 target. So I need to still see all those things in the narrative, and in the performance metric has to be something different than this section 2. So you can't just use the same one here. And I'll show you an example. I'll start sharing. Let's see. I want to share. Okay. All right. So you'll see in this section here, once again, here's the 3 tabs, metrics. I'm going to use the examples for, I'll go here. All right, so an example for section 3 that is separate from section 2, but similar would be percentage of K through 3 students who score below proficiency on the fall IRI who gain at least one performance category on spring IRI. So this is definitely different than section 2. This is something that a lot of districts already keep track of. So it's an easy thing to put on your CIP. There are 3 here. There are times where there are poor measures that I will send back because they're just not specific enough. If you send me something that says graduates or percent of graduates, it's just not. I'll start to have questions like percent of graduates, like seniors or core 5, core 4, or seniors like or how many? If it's just a number, percentage of high school seniors who complete the FAFSA. That's a good one. It's easy. There's no other questions. Like okay. So it's really just being as specific as you can to follow through on your measure that you want. And once again, it is easier if you continue it from the previous year. Okay, all right, moving on. I'm going to share the PowerPoint again. All right, back to here. Once again, narrative, if you're going to do the narrative, it has to be a specific measure as well. Okay. Now, section 5. Section 5 is basically a narrative of a report of progress from the previous year. So you're going to take a measure from the previous year. You can look at your any previous measure that you have, and you can look at the targets from the previous year, and maybe you'll find one that has been a good measure for you. And then what you want to do is you can write about one of them. You can write about several metrics, but basically what you want to do is provide a narrative of was that how was it successful? How did you make it successful? What were some challenges of that measure? And then what are your plans to build on the success or address those challenges for the next year? And you only, once again, have to do one measure. So there needs at least to be 3 sentences here: a success, challenge, and then a plan on how to address those things. But that has been missed in the past. So we just want to put that required big and bold up there so that people know they have to do that. This note section is not required, but it does provide you availability to talk about anything in your plan that might look odd or different, or maybe some blank cells are in there, and then you can use this note section just for your convenience to those things. But remember, for it is helpful. It can be also used for the staff performance, which we're going to go over next. Okay. Staff performance report. This one is can be a little tricky. I'm going to do my best to explain it, but this also does require a results spot here. We're going to talk about how basically what group of people it's for. So the first thing you need to do is provide an assessment tool. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to share that staff performance example page one more time. That has a good examples. Okay. Scroll down here. This is still in the instructions and example sheet. So basically, what you're trying to do is your assessment. You are gathering your staff's performance based on the grades they teach for the assessment tool they use in their subject. So think of it as like all the teachers who use this assessment tool that teach this grade, what was that grade's performance for that group of teachers using this assessment tool for the subjects? And then that's their target. What were the results? And then what are your targets following? So that group of staff that teach on an assessment tool, whether it's ISAT, ELA, math, what grade. All their grades you can put. It doesn't have to be per grade. It can be 6 through 8. You can see here K through 3. And this is not meant to reinvent the wheel here or anything. This should be already something that you are tracking through the assessment tool. And this is just a way to display it. So let's see. Another thing is it makes sense that there probably wouldn't be many districts that have more than uh, more than 5 separate teachers teaching in the district, teaching Iowa test of music literacy to specific grades for music. There it wouldn't make it might make sense, but for most districts, it wouldn't make sense that you'd have 5 or more educators teaching that, using that, or even just having that many educators to teach a specific grade. So what you do is, you would put NA. Oh, should I think it was or N size? And N size basically just means it's less than 5 educators do it. So you can put that in the notes section. You can put N size just across the board here, but it is important to try and put as many educators on here as you can, or those groups of staff on here as you can. This is a bit tricky, a little nuanced. So if there is any questions, please let me know. And you can reach out to me directly or through plans. Okay, all right, I'm going to stop sharing that. I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint. All right. All right, so that is staff performance report, and that is also a required field. All right, and then this is just strategic planning, how it aligns with the CIP. So basically, this is all pretty self-explanatory. All districts have a 3 or 5 year strategic plan. Obviously, the CIP is a 1-to-1, but if you're planning something with stakeholders with a 5 year strategic plan, the strategic plan can really work together to meet metrics and align so that you're meeting your goals of not just the 1-to-1, but your strategic plan. Once again, this is really just kind of redundant and just kind of continued. But yeah, if it basically utilizing your plan effectively, you can really kind of work, put it as the center of your work, and it can once again just align with that 5 year strategic plan, especially if you're being able to focus year to year on something, trying to hit that 5 year goal by setting the right metrics for yourself and setting the right goals and targets. All right, so once again, my name is Nick Wagner, Administrative Rules Coordinator. This is my email, but once again, send anything plans related to plans@edu.idaho.gov. Allison was on earlier talking about ISET and growth and OSBI updates. But I am going to jump off this part, and then I'm going to show you guys where to find ISET data, as well as where to find, oh shoot, let me pull this over here. Where to find all this stuff on our website. Okay. Give me a second. All right, share screen. All right. I'm going to share this first. Okay, I'll just go. Okay, so this webinar and the PowerPoint is going to be on our website. This is boardofed.idaho.gov. Where you're going to go is you're going to go K through 12. Hover over it. This thing's going to pop up. You're going to go district/charter school planning with that little video icon, and then you're going to scroll down to templates requiring continuous improvement plans. All right, 25, 26 templates, but we can find that right there. They're already available. You can start on them now. Where you're going to find the webinar where this video lives is continuous improvement plans. Also, you'll see the last year's continuous improvement plan PowerPoint, which is not going to be that different. None of these are going to be that different, but just for the sake of confusion, we're going to put 25, 26 and just kind of update this. This will not be available until early August, as our web person is out until then. All right, and then now the SDE. www.sde.idaho.gov. Go there. I'll take you here, and what you're going to do is scroll down to assessment and accountability, and then from there you're going to scroll pretty quickly down to data and results. Boom. That's going to take you to accountability spot, and then resources and files. This is where you're going to find IRI data, graduation rate. You have 24, 25 results there. And it looks like core 23, 24 is there. And then the ISAT 2025 is not available, you'll see. So you click on that. And then what we're like to find is growth. So once it's available, you'll click on that. And I'll show you how to find that. So it pops up. You're going to go into this fourth tab of 5 on the bottom. And you're going to want to use these filters up top. So district name, let's just go and pick Caldwell District. Apply. From here, you're going to go math. I'm just as an example. And we're going to go growth. Then you're going to pick the grade. Let's see what grade we want. Do we want grade? Let's go grade 4. Okay, math, growth. And here you're going to have your numerator, denominator, and this is going to be your percentage. This is going to be your actual results. So from there, that's where you can help figure out your targets if that's what you'd like to do. Once again, the ISATs will not be available probably closer to the end of August and September timeframe. Okay, so thank you guys for joining, and reach out if you have any questions or concerns. All right, thanks guys. Have a good one.